Hey, thank you so much for joining. I want to say welcome. Welcome to our No Excuses training. Let me get my volume up here. I always forget to do that because when I'm working, I don't like all the dings and bings and all the stuff that comes with it. So I always turn my volume way, way down. Which, by the way, if you happen to miss my live video that I did earlier today, I gave 5 tips on how to be more productive. So you can go back to my Facebook page, which is just facebook.com/Holly Hireman. If you want to check out that video, I give lots of actual business tips on that page because that is what I love. I love teaching people about business. Anyways, oh, look at that. You can see my lovely book in the back here, Speed of Trust. It's a good one. It's a good one. It's a very brain intensive book, but it's a really good book. So here's what we have to talk about today. I am going to hopefully. So you should be getting an email about this soon if you haven't already. With the replay of the Jon Acuff live video that he did on our Facebook page. Oh, it was so good in our Facebook group. And he talked a lot about his book Finish, and I'm actually about 75% of the way through it right now. I got introduced to Jon Acuff when Christine Dwyer sent me a book. I think it was because I hit Success Club or something like that. She sent me a book, Start, and it has this crazy long title, Punch Fear in the Face, and be successful, and all this amazing stuff, right? It is such a good book. I actually ended up buying it and sending it to several of my coaches. And then at various events, I would see him. He'd be having his event, and while I was at an event for something else, and I was like, man, that whole name Jon Acuff was so high up there. And recently, he did a training for I guess it was like a Facebook live event for anybody who hit Success Club. I can't remember what month it was. But during that live event, he said, hey, if you want me to talk to your team, send me a message. And of course, I had to apply in order for him to be able to do that. So I was really excited because I think about 20 people were on live, which is fantastic. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. He gives some really good information, and he is freaking hysterical. So let's talk right now about some things that I'm actually, to this point, learned from that book, Finish. And man, it's really changed the way that I view goal setting and achieving things. It's changed it drastically. So number one, I'm going to give you some tips about basically achieving some goals here, but also there's going to be some questions and just to help you wrap your brain around how you can be more effective in achieving your goals. Okay. So you might want to get out some paper and a pen. And the cool thing too, oh my gosh, go back and watch that video because he also gives everybody who joined that he gives us a link that we can click on and get bonuses from him. So video trainings from him, as well as a workbook that goes along with the book Finish. So that's super, super cool. Some of that might be some overlap from what we're going to do today. This is just like a super quick overview of some really great information. So, okay, we're going to roll with it right now. The only way to accomplish a goal is to give it time. Okay, so I think everybody knows this. We all realize that goals take time to accomplish. I think that it is both negligent and it's wishful to think that when we become a coach, all of a sudden people are just going to flock to us naturally. That just doesn't happen. And if you've been in this at any length of time, you realize that to be true. We got to give it time. Now, the only way to give this time is to take away time from something else. And if you've completed in the past, one of the trainings that I have is how to find time to work this business. If you've done that exercise and you know exactly where I'm going here, where I'm getting at. But what I really like what he talks about is you need to strategically be incompetent. So you need to have strategic incompetence. That means he calls it choose what you're going to suck at. And he gives lots of really hilarious viewpoints about I chose to suck at pop culture. I chose to suck at all the TV shows that all my friends were watching. I chose to suck at most social media platforms. And I think that is really true. Or, in some ways, I guess here's a funny little story for you. Um, my I was making vegetables, right? So I don't like to cook more than once a week. I try to do as much meal prep as possible. But I will say, admittedly, my husband actually does most of the cooking. He probably cooks like 3 times a week. And he makes sure that we always have protein in the house. Oh, we always have meat in the house. He loves to barbecue. So I'm not even allowed to touch any of the meats, okay? Because he always barbecues them. Okay, so that being said, every now and again, like he does cook a lot more often than I do, and I'm in the kitchen and I was preparing some vegetables and getting them going, and I hear my oldest son go, "Dad, why is mommy cooking? Isn't that your job?" So there you go. One of the things that I chose to suck at was cooking, because I know that it's not a forte. It's not really something that I enjoy. I've never really actually learned how to do it well. So I just do it out of necessity. If I look in our fridge and I'm like, oh shoot, we don't have any vegetables prepared. We don't have anything prepared, because the way that we eat in my house is grab and go. We measure, throw it on a plate, warm it up, and there you go. That's the way that we eat, because it's easy and it's a really easy way for us to stay on track. But so strategically, that was one of the things that I chose to quote unquote suck at, right? I guess I could be a better mom or whatever. I don't feel bad about it whatsoever, because I know that the majority of the time that I'm spending is with my kids. And then if they're busy, or if they are inundated with something, if they're doing something and they're focused on something, or if they're if Luke's at preschool or if Cole's napping, then I am focused on this business and helping all of you. So that's okay. It's okay. I'm good by it. I'm totally good with it, because the things that I've chose not to suck at, those are the things that super, super matter to me. All right. So he gives a really good analogy of traffic lights. So what's going to happen is, as you're going about and you're trying to accomplish your new goal, or you're trying to plan, you are trying to get ahead in some way, what's going to happen is things are going to come up, and they're going to come your way. Emergencies, non-emergencies, emails, fake Facebook messages, opportunities, even quote unquote good opportunities. They may be disguised as something fantastic, but it's just meant to derail you from what you're currently working on. So what you want to do is you want to start to view your the things that come your way as traffic lights. So something that comes your way, say for instance, a phone call from a prospect or somebody that you want to be involved in your business. A phone call that comes in from them, green light, right? Because that's going to ultimately move you toward your goal. Possibly when you hear a national coach call and you hear them talking about Snapchat, but you're really, really focused and you're working heavily in Facebook and YouTube right now, Snapchat, learning a new platform, figuring something else out, when you have a good groove going right now, I'm going to say that's a red light, right? Because that's just a shiny object that could distract you and detract you from your current goal. And then there's some other things that might be a yellow light, which means they will slow you down. So you just need to be very aware of how you're using your time, how you're spending your time, and cognitively recognize things that come your way as a green light, a yellow light, or a red light. So green light means, yes, I'm going to go for it. A red light, of course, means I'm going to stop. And then a yellow light means that's going to slow me down, or maybe I need to slow down a minute. Okay. So just think about like that. The other thing that he actually talked about heavily on our live was, you got to make it fun. 46%, you are 46% more likely to accomplish a goal if it is fun. So you got to figure out some ways. How can you make it fun? Here is a lovely candle on my desk. It took me about 2 years working from home before I really realized that I didn't fully enjoy sitting by myself in an office, like in my home. And I was like, man, I loved to be alone when I worked for Powder Blue, alone in the office there. Like I would even work some Friday nights until 8 p.m. just because everybody left early on Friday, and I would get like 4 or 5 hours solid work done. Which was amazing to me. But one thing I always did was I always had a delicious, yummy candle burning. And that made my work more enjoyable, made it more fun for me. Another thing that I'm a coffee junkie. I self-admittedly, I am completely addicted to lattes and coffees and things like that. So when I find myself struggling to push through, especially that 2 o'clock hour, that's like the natural dip, which by the way, there's a biological reason for that. We should be sleeping during that time, taking a little nap, but that's okay. That's another thing. So during that time is when I go grab a cup of coffee to help reward myself. What other things can make it fun for you? Music? Maybe taking a 10-minute dance break? What can make it fun for you? Those things are really important. Identify right now some things that can make your work a little bit more important. Maybe a little healthy competition with some friends of yours. I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to start a 100 no's club and just to see who can hit 100 no's, solid no's about the Beachbody opportunity the fastest. And then like everybody pools their money together and give a big prize. Maybe we'll do that soon. I've always wanted to do that because that seems like a lot of fun. Maybe if everybody pitched in $5 and the person who got to 100 no's first gets the whole pot of money. Oh my God, that'd be super fun. Next, how are you motivated? Are you fear motivated or reward motivated? Now, most people are not going to immediately ring with that. But here are some ways that you can figure out how you're motivated. Does the thought of going out and shopping for a whole new wardrobe after hitting your weight goal, is that what drives you to push play every day? Or is your motivation more based on the fact that you don't want to get diabetes like your grandparents had, you don't want to have heart disease like your parents, you don't want, is it based more on I'm doing this because of the things that I don't want, right? So I don't necessarily like the term fear motivation. I think of it more of like an avoidance motivation, the things that you want to avoid. Like no, to be honest with you, 2 years into this business, I could have kicked up my heels and just rode the wave and made multiple six figures for years, to be honest with you. I don't really have to work this business anymore, but I do tell you, I am one of those people. I'm wired by fear. So my thing is, I worked really hard to get to this point. I don't want to lose what we already have. I don't want to lose this lifestyle that we have. I don't want to lose the ability to stay home with my kids. I want to continue to pay off our retirement that we have funded and the college kids funds and all of that stuff. So I guess, and I know that's the reason that I do this. Deep down, that's the reason that I do this, is because I never want to be broke again the way that I was. And I don't want to have to go to a job 9 to 5 every day, since this has been my life where I work 2 hours a day since quote unquote retiring. So I am a little bit more fear motivated. Now there's some other ways that I am more reward motivated. And I guess that would be with my exercise. My reward, I'm always looking for that reward of that mental clarity and that stimulation, but I also really love the group environment. So for me to be motivated to work out, most days of the week, I need to be with a group of people. That's going to be the most motivating for me, and I get the best workout that way. That's how I'm wired. I know that about myself. It doesn't mean that I'm a failure. It doesn't mean that I don't work out at home. It just means that I realize that if I'm really working toward a physical goal, I must be in a group environment. That helps me so much. So what I want you to do right now, I want you just to list a couple rewards, some ways that your current goal, maybe just pick one or two, maybe a physical goal and then a business goal, or maybe 2 business goals, right? Because the more I can get you focused on business, the better, right? The physical stuff's easy, but I really want you to list some rewards for yourself right now. Go ahead and do that. I just need to step away for a second to turn off the heater because it's super hot in here. Whew, all right, I'm back. So next, I want you to list some fears, okay? So say you don't hit your business goal. I want you to list some fears about that. Why is that scary for you? What are some things that you want to avoid? Detail it out. And then I think probably just, in some ways you're going to be reward motivated. In some ways you're going to be fear motivated or avoidance motivated. But try to identify specifically for your business goals, which one is pulling you in a direction stronger? Is it the reward of knowing that you're going to be able to submit that 2-week notice? Is it the reward of creating a college fund for your kids? Is it the reward of paying off debt? What is that reward for you? And then, or is it the fear? Are you more fear-based or avoidance-based? I don't like that word fear, right? Everybody has it, right? And I guess we can't be courageous if we don't feel fear. But what are the things that you really want to avoid? Is it that you want to avoid having to work until you're 75? Do you want to avoid having to put your kids in daycare? Do you want to avoid all those interest rates that you have stacked up on your credit cards? And here's a cool little tip about shiny objects, okay? And this is one reason that I hate, I love the National Wake Up Call. Don't get me wrong. But the reason that I struggle with it sometimes is because I feel like every new coach or every coach that comes on brings about a shiny new object. Now, what they're trying to do is bring you tips and tools and tricks that have worked for them that could definitely work for you. My thing is this: when you listen to those calls, because I do listen to them every week, when you listen to them or anything else, always go, is this applicable to my current goals right now? You need to weigh it against that. Because, for instance, I love Chalene Johnson. Of course, you guys know that. I love her podcast, Build Your Tribe. But if she does an episode on Snapchat, I don't even listen to it. Because to me, that's going to be a shiny object. Right now, I know that my main focus is in Facebook, secondarily, YouTube. So those are I have to say narrow focus because my time is very limited. With 2 little rugrats running around all the time. So what you can do is, instead of going, oh, there's a shiny object, I think I'm going to work on that for a little while. What you do is this. You say, okay, now I know that I want to do that. And that looks a lot more fun than what I'm working on right now. So what I'm going to do is I am going to write that down, and that is going to be what I'm going to stare at. And as soon as I'm finished with this, I'm going to sprint towards that. Okay? So complete the goal that you're working on right now, but make those shiny, fun project objects at your finish line of the current goal that you have right now. Not to say that every goal should be accomplished, because sometimes you're going to get into a goal and go, I need to abandon this. This is not serving my overall priorities or purpose. But I'm just saying, in general, try to work through the goal that you have right now, and then you can use those to lure you closer to the finish line. All right. So accomplishing a goal isn't always about winning. Honestly, it's about just winning more than you're losing. That's really what it's about. You just need to win more often than you're losing. Okay. You're never going to just only win the whole way through. There is going to be a learning process. I sat down and I sent individual text messages to, I don't know, maybe 100 of my customers, which, by the way, if you don't get responses from your customers very often, don't let that discourage you, because that's just the name of the game. A lot of times they give fake information because they're afraid of any sales stuff that's going to come from corporate. So don't worry about that. But I got 4 good responses, and I got 3 negative. 3 people telling me to take them off my list. And I have to tell you, it took me, even though I know these things, it took me a little while to shake off the 3. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I got one more positive response than I got negative. And it's no big deal. It's no big deal. But even I sometimes have to go and just shake it off and go, that's just the name of the game. And out of all those text messages that I sent out, I only got, it was, I don't remember the exact number of how many I sent, but it was around, I don't know, an 8 or 10% response rate. Not too bad if you really consider it. If you really consider how busy people are, not too bad, right? Now I know what to expect the next time I send out a text message. I expect there to be about a 10% response rate, and I expect about 50% of those probably to say, take me off your list, and the other 50% will be positive. Great. The more I narrow the list, the better, because that'll just get more positivity. It's just about winning more often than you're losing, okay? You can't go anywhere if you don't do anything at all because you're afraid of the response. Okay. Here's the funny thing too. You're also going to find that as you move through a goal, as you start a goal, you start working on something, you're going to find that you have all these funny little rules. Okay. And these are rules that you can probably identify within yourself as well as within people on your team. So here's some rules that I know come up all the time. Number one, I feel like I need to really learn the website before I can take anybody else through this. Number two, I think that I need to be a personal success story before I'm able to share the Beachbody business. That's another rule. Number three, another rule is I think that I need to be successful before I start to tell people about the business. Now, here's the deal. With these little tiny rules that we create for ourselves, they are they're stumbling blocks. And they're little obstacles that we set up for ourselves in order to protect ourselves from being hurt or being afraid. So I want to encourage you, because if you feel like there are two major extremes, then you know that you've created a stumbling block. Another one that I hear often is, I cannot even consider spending any time on this business because I think that that's going to throw my marriage over the edge. It's almost like, or I will become a workaholic, or I will be this, or I will be that. You don't have to be an extreme in any way, shape, or form. You can just do this a little bit. You can work toward a goal a little bit and make good progress. I promise you, things like that don't happen overnight, right? I guess it would be similar to saying, oh, I don't want to start music lessons because, a lot of musicians end up on drugs. Whatever the case may be. We create these little obstacles in our brains, these little teeny tiny rules of why we can't do something yet. And I think the basis is fear, but I also think that it's a good reason why a lot of people don't accomplish their goals, right? It's something like 97% of people never actually follow through with the goal they've set out to achieve. That is super sad and super scary. I don't want that to be you. I want you to be in the 3%. And so some ways that we can combat this is to figure out what little teeny tiny rules, quote unquote rules, that we have that are going to continue to inhibit you. Maybe your rule is, I really want to become a good speaker before I go public with my business, because I want to be able to do live events all the time. What are your rules? Are your rules that you have to be in super great shape? Identify those. Think about those. Maybe you can jot a couple down. Here's some things to consider. I love this point. Data always tells the truth. The more data you can collect, the better. So for instance, whatever goal that you have in mind right now, figure out a way to create several data points around that. So what do we do when we do challenge groups, right? We tell people to do their weight, do their measurements, take photos, right? Those are 3 different ways to collect data points. Another way to collect data points is have them track their food. But have you ever considered just having them also track, okay, say for instance, they really like to run on the treadmill. Okay, have them track how long they're able to run without really being exhausted. And then 4 weeks later, see how they're doing on a scale of 1 to 10 with that same amount of time, or if they're able to increase. All of those things, the more data points, the better. All of those things are going to help you. the more data points, the better. So collect as many data points along the way as possible. So here is what you want to brainstorm out. Number one, as we're coming to a close kind of. Number one, what's your goal right now? Okay. You got to brainstorm out, what's your goal right now? Is it Success Club? Is it your rank? Is it a certain amount of money that you want to make every month? Like your monthly earnings? What is your specific goal right now that you're working toward in your business? So we have to find some ways to measure a goal. Here it is. I lost part of my notes. Find five. What I want you to do is find 5 ways in order for you to measure that goal. Okay. Here are some ways that you can measure how you're doing on that goal. And by the way, it's very interesting because this is where most people drop the ball. And this is where I have the proof is in the pudding. Okay. You are going to find that you'll be able to tell 30, 60, 90 days from now what your business looks like 1 to 3 months from now has to do with the activity that you are tracking today. So here are some ways that you can measure your specific business goals. How many invites have you sent? How many follow-ups? How many pages of personal development have you read? How much time did you spend listening to audio, podcasts, and video all about your business? How much time did you focus on your business? Okay. Now, I'm not talking about how long did you sit in front of your computer. I'm literally talking about how much time did you spend focused on your business. If you don't know the answer to those questions, I wouldn't say that there's a problem. I'm going to say there's lots of room to grow, because there's no way for you to evaluate what's working and what's not unless you're tracking these things. Here's some other instances. How many coaches do you need to sign in order to get to your next rank? How many points do you have now? Right? They're just data points. It's just information. And information is going to unlock your ability to start really crushing your goals. Another thing you can do is look to the past to help you reach your current goals. All right. So the last time that you hit Success Club 5, how many invites did you send out? So if you have that data, then you're going to know, okay, for every time I hit Success Club 5, it's because I sent out a minimum of 100 personal invites and then followed up with those people. How many invites did you send out the last time you hit Success Club 5? How many hours per week were you focusing the last time you signed a coach or whatever it is? How much TV did you watch during that amount of time? Or how much TV are you watching now? So sometimes it's about measuring the things that we shouldn't be doing also, not just the activity that you should be doing, but measuring the activity that you should not be doing. How, like, say for instance, you jump on your Facebook just with the sole purpose of prospecting and promoting your business. However, 20 minutes later, you find yourself mindlessly wandering through things. That can't happen if you're trying to build a business online. You can't let other things direct and dictate where you're going, okay? That's really important. You got to have your blinders on. So maybe you need to track the things that you shouldn't be spending too much time on either. So what I do is I do not watch any television until my kids are in bed. Usually that's 8, maybe 8:30 sometimes. And I give myself 30 to 60 minutes every night. That's how I like to unwind. And to be quite honest with you, that is when I become seriously brain fried. Right around 8 p.m., I become seriously brain fried. I have done training calls and webinars and other things at that late hour, but I will tell you, I stumble over my words a lot. I don't have as much clarity. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. So I have a hard time focusing my mind at that late hour. So I just do something that's mind numbing. That's my selfish guilty pleasure, is that 30 to 60 minutes of TV that I watch every night. But before my business, I was watching a heck of a lot more television than that, probably like 3 hours a night. And that was also before kids. I was watching about probably 3 hours of TV a night. And then when I started this, I shaved that down just to the 1 hour a night. And I've been doing that for the last 10 years. And you know what? I'm okay. I'm alive. You know, sometimes I get extra time on the weekends when the kids are napping. It's like a super extra special treat to catch up on The Walking Dead or whatever else. So those are just some ways. Let me see. Hang on. I think I missed one. My apologies here. There it is. There it is. There it is. Sorry about that. Another thing that you can measure is how many volume points do you have now? How many volume points did you have in your best month? That's another really good thing to track, is your volume. Tracking your coaches and their activity. That's a great thing to do. I have a list on right here so I can see it really clearly right next to me on the back of my door. And it has all of my coaches who are Emerald or higher, how many people or steps they are away from reaching diamond rank. I have that, and every single time they sign a coach, I go and adjust that, because I want to know exactly how many people each person needs. Then I know exactly what's happening in their businesses. These are the people who are actively trying to work their business. It's in my best interest to know what their business looks like as well. So, the other thing I kind of mentioned was, tracking response rates. So I mentioned that in the beginning or a little bit ago about, how many people responded to my text, even on emails. So say you send out an email and you know that for every 100 emails, you typically get one response. That's a 1% response rate. Now, if you didn't know that, then say that you did not know that a typical email gets a 1% response rate. Say that you didn't know that. Say that you send out an email and that particular email got a 3% response rate. You would probably feel like a failure. But if you have lots and lots and lots of data to back up, okay, this sales email typically gets a 1% response rate, and you get a 3% response rate, you're going to be excited about that. Now, obviously, that's not, usually it's more than that on email, but it isn't that much more. So if you get like a 10% open rate, that's amazing. Right? So just, you need to know what's average, what are the things to be celebrated, right? So if you know that you typically get 5 people on your live videos, but today you got 7, dude, you freaking rocked it, right? Because you got to celebrate those little tiny wins. I just want to say thank you so much for dedicating yourself to a group like this. I know that most of you do watch the recordings. Let me look at a calendar. I want to tell you about some things that we have coming up. Obviously Summit, Coach Summit. Please make sure that you're there. If you're working your business, unless you have something that is like, it's just astronomical, the reason that you cannot be there, like your best friend is getting married and you're in the wedding, or you're having a baby that weekend, please get to Summit. Okay? I promise you. If you apply the knowledge that you learn, it will return tenfold to you. The average is seven times. Whatever you invest, you will get that back 7 times. So if you invest, I don't know, $100, we'll say $1,000 on your trip, you can expect to earn back $7,000 from that. That's the average returns on putting money into your personal development. Now I know that number sounded scary to you. That's why we have credit cards and other things like that. Trust me, it's worth it. Get there. Some other dates. July 7th and 8th is Super Saturday. That weekend, make sure you go to your Team Beachbody Coach Online office and check on the interactive calendar there to make sure you can find an event near you. And actually starting in 2 weeks in June 6th, I'm going to be kicking off a team call. I'm partnering with two dynamos, Ellen DeWord and Cam Niskak. And we are partnering together, the three of us, and we're combining all of our team calls, and we're kicking that off June 6th. I'll get you all of the information so you can join live with that. It's going to be every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So there are a couple people on. I'll definitely open up and see if you guys had any questions about the information that we covered today. You can just unmute yourself and start talking.
Hi, Holly.
Oh, hey, how are you, Alyssa?
I'm good. Hey, I just wanted to say thank you so much for letting me be part of these all the time.
Yeah.
I know I'm very far away from you, but I appreciate all of your help. I have two things. One, the 5-step invitation process that I've been trying to use with my people. I shortened up the video, did what you said, put in all the pieces, trying to use it, trying to get it viewed. I did all that stuff. I just wanted you to know I did it.
Awesome.
Hopefully, I've got one person from it so far, so hopefully I'm going to get more. And then we booked a place at Summit for 10 people and 5 backed out. And
Okay.
so we have room for those people in case anyone needs a house, because we got a huge penthouse like right by Lucas Oil Stadium. So anyway, if you have people that need a house, please let me know.
Oh, absolutely. And post it in Team Fit Finances too. Absolutely.
Is that okay?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Okay. I know that people are last minute looking for housing. They always do. And sometimes maybe they'll only, because I know some people are like on a cot in another house, so they might jump over to get a bed.
Okay.
Do you know what
awesome.
I mean?
Yes, I will do that. Thank you. We have many freaking out people, so awesome.
Oh, good. Wow, that's huge. A 10-person house. Good for you. That's great.
Thanks. How do I track my total volume? Like, where do I go to find my best volume month?
Oh, that is a good question. Let me look really quick.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull up my Coach Online office. Let's see. I think it's just under my volume, but I want to make sure. And you guys see what I'm doing here. Okay. So, probably under Monitor My Business. You guys can see it, right?
Yep.
Okay. Monitor My Business. So because of the new online office, so you have team volume.
Okay.
Pretty sure it's here. Yeah. So here's your volume. So your right volume and your left volume of your team. So your total personal volume points is going to be here. That includes your personal purchases as well as your customer purchases. So like 468, that was actually a big month for me as far as challenge packs goes, I believe.
Okay.
And then your left and right volume is going to be here. So these are the people. This is who's on your left, who's on your right, and how that tracks. Okay, so you have the complete history in here. Let's go back one screen. And then once you start getting to the point of maxing out, so you'll reach a point where you can't earn any more money on a team cycle bonus anymore. So what happens is, or actually no, let's say for instance, because you cycle one time, okay? So an emerald can earn $14 per cycle, a ruby can earn $16 per cycle, a diamond will earn $18 per cycle, and you will cycle one time every time you have 100 points on one leg and 200 points on another leg. So let me go back to my team volume real quick. I'll show you what that looks like. So that means that this could, I can't even do that math, but basically 1/3 to 2/3, we'll just pretend that this says 100,000 and this says 200,000 or 300,000, 200,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then that would cycle 100 times, right?
Okay.
I believe so. So that, I think I'm terrible doing math in my head, but basically every time you have 100 points on one side, 200 points on the other side, you will cycle one time, and then the total goes down by that amount, and you keep cycling until you can't cycle anymore. Now I'm pretty balanced here. I wonder if I could show you on my second CBC. That might take too long for me to log out and in. But then what happens is a lot of times you'll be uneven. You'll have one leg that has way too much volume. You're never going to catch up. So then it dumps into this other thing called carryover volume. And it'll show you, see, like I cycled 96 times on this. Anyways, number of lifetime cycles, and then look at the carryover volume. That's just whatever. It's a lot, so that's how much carried over to the next one, because I have a lot of volume. I just been doing this. I have a lot of business builders been doing this for a long time. I feel like I'm bragging, so I should have gone into my second business center instead. But
goals, baby, goals.
No, I don't like that, because I feel, anyways, it makes me, maybe I need to work on that. I need to do some therapy about the whole feeling worthy thing. But what ends up happening though is because some people are really worried about their sides being so uneven. You can see, like, my sides are super uneven. But I still, it's okay. If I stressed about that, it doesn't matter, because it ends up carrying over and it can be used later on. So,
okay.
But that's where you can go to get your volume reports.
Okay. Do you want us to send you some of these goals or anything, or is that part of our homework?
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't created the homework yet, but that is a great idea.
Okay. I'm sorry, class.
No. I always do it afterwards, just because. But yeah, I love that. And by the way, I will be sending it off tomorrow, because my husband's about to leave, so everybody will get the recording and the homework and everything tomorrow. All right.
Okay. Thank you, Holly, for your time. You're amazing.
Oh, cool. Thank you. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap. I want to say have a great day. Take care.
All right. See ya.
Okay.